Hello crafters and welcome to Plan C, conversations about crafts, creativity and connection. I'm Michelle Brown, Creative Director from Picture to Page, and I'm so excited to be here with you today.
And I'm Wendy Steward from Wendy's Way, and I'm absolutely delighted to be here. So, Plan C, Michelle came up with this amazing idea, and I'm going to throw to her and ask her how she came up with Plan C and how this all came to be. Michelle.
Excellent. Well, because we are here at Season 1, Episode 1, we thought we'd better do a bit of an origin story. So, yes, back in 2020, From Picture to Page and Beyond, Papercraft shows had an absolute crisis in running its in-person shows.
Sure.
So we pivoted to this online format through Facebook and through YouTube. So we thought it was just such a wonderful format and a way that we could bring our creativity together, connect you with crafters and retailers, and of course help connect with each other as well. So when we were thinking of a name, it was like, how do we sort of make it fit together? And like we said, it's that craft, creativity and connection that's so important. I thought, well, there's lots of C's there. So what about Plan C? Because we certainly noticed throughout last year that sometimes we had a Plan A, sometimes we had a Plan B that didn't always work, but we always had our Plan C or our plan for crafting to fall back on. And as we know, that really helped so many of us during the lockdown and the COVID crisis.
Absolutely. And considering exactly what's happening right now, you know, in the last hour in Victoria, we're all back into lockdown for 5 days, but never fear, Plan C is here for you. And I've always said, and I've said to Michelle, not only, you know, it's a great thrill for me to be part of this whole experience, but Michelle being online last year and bringing us so much inspiration online got me through a really difficult year. I rediscovered my love of craft, and I think Plan C, that's the whole concept behind it, to keep you inspired, to keep you going, and especially with what we're all about to do in Victoria for the next 5 days. We will be online, don't you worry. We will be here for you, making Plan C come to life.
Excellent, that's right. So Plan C for Season 1 is going to be 6 episodes. So we're going to be here at 2 o'clock Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time for the next 6 weeks right here on Facebook. And we're going to have chats with our retailers. We're going to have some craft demonstrations, lots of inspiration, talking about our creativity. But we thought for this week, kicking off, we'd get both Wendy and myself here. And we'll talk a little bit about our crafting backgrounds, so you get to know us a little bit better, a little bit about where we get our creativity from. And then again, how we connect and use that to drive our passions as well. So Wendy, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I'm Wendy Steward, and I have a business called Wendy's Way, which I started nearly 5 years ago now. And it was to start to share my health and wellness journey. I had quite a battle with weight and weight loss and, you know, just my wellness. So I started that whole journey sharing my story and, you know, recovering from sort of, you know, not being in the greatest of health to being in the best shape of my life at 51, which I'm so proud of. And I have always been a scrapbooker. I didn't know it was called scrapbooking at the time, but I think I've been doing scrapbooking in some way, shape or form since about, you know, I don't know, since I was 15 or so, I reckon. So it's been a huge part of my life. And as I said earlier, last year, being stuck indoors, being in lockdown, there was so much inspiration online, so much of it provided by Michelle, that it just made me just renew my love for art and craft and discover art journaling in a whole new way. I'd always done a bit of art journaling, but just really taking it to the next level, especially with your online class that, you know, was going to be an in-person class, but then we went to online as we did. And it just, I can't imagine my life without craft. And now I craft every day. And I'm very lucky to have a room in my home that is now my art studio, shall we call it.
Fantastic.
It's not messy anymore, Michelle. It's all organized. So, you know, it's always been a big part of my life. And I look forward to sharing that part of my journey with you over the next 6 weeks.
Excellent. So you consider yourself sort of mostly scrapbooking and art journaling?
I don't know what I would. I don't think I could box myself into a category. I love making cards. I've just made a baby album for a new bubba in our family, which I absolutely loved doing and was really well received. So hi to Melissa and Isaac if you're watching, because you better be watching. And yeah, so I've done card making and scrapbooking. So I'd say I mostly come from a scrapbooking background. But in the last year, I filled 4 Delusions journals with art journaling.
Oh my
4.
goodness, that's a
4,
feat.
right? So I'm just like, I didn't realize I'd done it because I was working in, you know, one was faces, one was just whatever I felt like doing, and got to the end of the year and I filled 4. So yeah, I guess I'd call myself a little bit of everything, but yeah, definitely coming from a card making and scrapbooking background.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, I consider myself originally more of a stamper.
Okay.
So I think, as I've said before, my father was a printer, so we always had a lot of paper in the house and sort of bookbinding.
Yeah.
And so very much I can remember my mother was also someone who liked to learn something new every 2 years. So I can remember doing applique, and she's a sewer and my grandmother was a sewer.
Yeah.
And then there was, you know, hobby techs, and then she did a course at the local crafters cottage. It was about stamping. I do remember thinking at the time, this is like the most kindergarten craft there is. But anyway, I went along as well. And I think from there, my first card making actually got serious about the end of year 12, which was quite a few years ago now.
Yep.
And at that stage, it wasn't so much stamping, but it was about getting, I guess it was almost collage, getting images, cutting them out, making Christmas cards. And then that grew, through the stamping. And of course, we had, stores in Melbourne like Inky Pinky, and of course all the other ones that were just always there, and then learning to colour. And then that really morphed into more of that mixed media art journaling, which then brought me really to where I am today. So now I've been running from picture to page for 6 years.
Hasn't that gone fast?
It certainly has. Gosh. And even before that, my website mixedmediaart.net's been around for 12 years now, and that was really about, again, finding that global community around mixed media, and really reminding everyone that we all can be creative, that sometimes we might think it's because we don't have the time, we don't have the skill, or we don't have the money.
Yes.
And we can bust all of those myths because we know that we can make the time, we can do it for a reasonable price, and we can learn. We can learn new techniques.
I think, if you just have a piece of paper and a pencil, just a grey lead pencil, you can sketch, you can design, you can draw, you can do anything. You don't need to have every supply under the sun to make beautiful art, or just enjoy yourself and just let loose on that creative side. And I think that's what's great about our wonderful hobby, in just, our little hobby, not little hobby, our amazing community, that, it takes all kinds to bring art to life, and it doesn't matter what you're doing as long as you're doing something.
Yeah, and I think that's what we really want to share with our community, because I do remember a time where thinking, I couldn't do it because I didn't have the right supplies. And when I started Mixed Media Art, then suddenly I had a lot of supplies.
Sure.
Then it was like, well, I didn't have the time. And then, sometimes, and as we found during lockdown, time isn't necessarily the barrier, and it really is about motivating ourselves and holding ourselves accountable if that's what we need. Again, everyone motivates themselves in different ways, but finding a way that gets you just turning up, doing something every day.
Absolutely. And I think, whether it's just you get yourself an accountability buddy, like I did, art accountability buddy, and you just make sure you're doing, if you sign up for an online course, that you're doing what you said you were going to do, or you devote some part of your day to a little bit of creativity. We all live these crazy, incredible lives. And, we're going back into lockdown. And those of us who survived Melbourne lockdown last year, we know we were at home. And it was just like, right, go swatch something. Just go get your paints and just splash some color on a page. You don't have to be doing a project. You don't have to be doing anything. Just find, and it's, I think, as women, we try to do so much, and we don't think about ourselves. We don't take the time for ourselves. It doesn't matter whether you're single, married, with kids, without kids, in a partnership, not in a partnership. I think it's really important to make sure you have, even if it's 10 minutes, make a cup of tea, sit down, get a pencil and a sketchbook and go for it. Or get your paints out and just swatch the different colors on a page. First of all, you'll have some fun, and then you'll actually know what your paints do, Michelle.
And that's a really good point. Sometimes we get so caught up in having to make something, make it be functional. But sometimes just taking that step back and using the time to get to know our art supplies. So how translucent are our paints? What can we stamp over? What different mediums, and what do they look like on different surfaces?
Yeah, I know, because I did a class with the amazing Seth Apter. Yes, everyone knows I totally adore Seth Apter from New York. And I did this piece of work with him, a background class with him. And I used some distressings, but it wasn't the right kind of distressing. So I reached out and said, this is what I did, but they've kind of disappeared. And I'd used the wrong stamp, I'd used the wrong medium on that piece that I was doing. But because I'd never swatched, I'd never played, I didn't know what my products could do. It was a great lesson learned. And, I did it again with the right kind of medium. So I'm just saying, know your stuff. Michelle is a great advocate for that. Know your supplies, know what they can do. And don't worry about a project. Go in and just start playing and just have fun, most importantly.
Exactly. And do it for yourself. Again, quite often, sometimes as women, we feel like we have to be responsible or use our time wisely. And it's like, we're not doing it for that. And I've had many people say to me, look, I just don't get what you do. And I had one friend who was a runner, and I said, well, really, I don't get why you run. So let's just agree to not get each other. And then you could see her going, oh, yeah, well, I know why I run. It's like, well, I craft for similar reasons, for a release, for my own time.
And I've been asked, like, when it comes to mixed media art journaling, well, what's the point? It's, because it's not a scrapbook page as a gift or a card that you give as a gift. I go, no, the point is I'm having fun, and I'm, getting out whatever I need to get out for that day, whether it's something positive, negative. I just release it into my beautiful journal. It's done. No one has to see it except me. and I've, purged a little or vented a little or whatever you needed to do last year. And, it's out there, it's done. And it's just, I think it's been a great tool for me, especially, we've all needed to look after our mental health in the last year, and going forward, we always have to look after our mental health. And it's been such a great tool for me to use to just stay on even keel and just, have something that I could turn to in the middle of our Melbourne lockdown last year.
Excellent. And that leads us fantastically into our next point. So where do you find that creativity and inspiration?
So for me, I'm going to just concentrate on last year, because it was really the resurgence of my art journey again. There was an amazing cyber crop done by Scrapping Clearly, Kylie Tout organisers, and that just kicked us all off. From there, I did classes. I did, there were free classes, there were paid classes. There was Your Beautiful workshop for 6 weeks. So I'm always looking to learn, like your mum, always looking to learn something new, always looking for a new technique, or if there was a new product released, going to the video, like Tim Holtz did all those incredible videos, learning how to use the product, what it can do, what you can do with it, and not limiting myself to just making a card or just making a scrapbooking layout, just going for it. And, sometimes it was a total mess. It just looked like mud. And you go, okay, white gesso over the top of it, away you go again. So
gesso covers many
Gesso
things.
covers everything. And I think I bought like four bottles of gesso from you last year, and you laughed at me, and I've used 2 already, Michelle.
Amazing. That's good. Well, I guess what I find my inspiration from is, like you said, is spending a little bit of time online, but the challenge again is not spending too much time and being able to step back and developing your own practice.
Yes,
so it's really about, like you said, having perhaps a few rules that you might follow. So if I start out art journaling, how often do we see groups? Where do I start with art journaling? It's like, well, we put down some collage papers, we add a bit of paint, we do a bit of stamping, add a focal point, a few words, and we're done. And just having that 4 or 5 steps there. And the same with making a card. So we might just stamp some images and then colour them in, or cut them out, or create layers. And there's so many ways. And even, looking around for colour combinations as well. Do you see something that might spark you? I think one of my recent ones was I was folding the washing, as we do on odd occasions, and the towels. We had a grey towel and an orange towel and a green towel, and it was sort of a colour combination that I went, I think I could make that
I don't think
work.
I would ever have put grey, orange and green together, but that might be something we all need to have a go at, right?
Yeah, and so sometimes it is nice just to see those colour combinations and then go out and explore your art supplies and then look at how do you match, particularly if you are doing more mixed media. You've got your paints, you've got your water-soluble mediums, you've got your inks, you've got your pencils, which colours match across all the different ranges. Yeah. So it's a really fun way of sparking that. Yeah.
And I think the other thing that I did towards halfway through last year and more into this year was really know what I had. And yes, we all have way too much. We all know this. We're all guilty of that. I did a massive organisation and just got all the like products together, like whether it was distress crayons or wax crayons or scribble sticks, put it all in one box or one container or in one area that you can go and access them whenever you want. So it's not in colours, it's just in type. And for me, that's been the game changer. And I don't know about you, Michelle, but I keep say all my beautiful Rachel Green darkroom door stamps are in one box, or my South Apta stamps are in one box. So I just try, whatever I've got, whatever company, whatever brand, and Dinner Wakely, whatever it may be, I've kept them together because it's easier to find the collections that way. So I don't know if that's something you do or,
So I've probably a little bit between.
Sure,
so again, more medium, so keeping inks together, keeping paints together. But then, like you said, I've got Jane Davenport supplies, I've got Art by Marlene supplies. So I tend to keep those together. Also, in a way, they're sort of colour ranges as well. Yeah, but what I was just thinking, what we'll have to do is each take photos of our storage systems.
Yes, that would be a good idea.
And we will pop them with the show notes. And, of course, they're going to be on from picture2pageandbeyond.com.au and click on Plan C Episode 1 and we can put photos in there so people can see the magic that you've created in your craft.
Yeah, happy to. I'll get onto that a bit later today. No problem at all. So, Michelle, what do you think has been the biggest trend in craft last year? As a retailer and as a mixed media artist, what do you think was the it product or the go-to product?
It was funny, wasn't it? In a
way,
or
the medium kind of thing.
Yeah, so we were kind of on 2 levels because in a way, many of the companies, release so many different products, and in a way, because of distributions being held up and manufacturing being held up, that didn't always occur. But what I think we did see the explosion of was, like you said, online courses.
Absolutely.
So those teachers who usually spend so much of their time in the year travelling were offering some amazing opportunities to get to know them and to see their crafting. So in a way, it was almost a little bit less about the mediums and the new products, and more about, like you said, learning how to use them as well.
Absolutely. And I think there was a lot of artists that were quite aware that no distribution was coming, whether it was out of the US or interstate in Australia, and they took to online and they gave us so much free knowledge, free classes to get us all going, to get us motivated, and to make us not be scared to pick up the art journal and splash the gesso down and off you go. And I think that was like such a huge part of last year.
Yeah. And so what was your favourite product for last year? I think you might have already mentioned it.
It was just discovering Seth Apter products. I have to be honest about that, you know, and it was like his eye zinc and his paints and his stamps. It was just, I don't know why. He's just an incredible person, and he gave so much like so many others did. I think that was the brand that I gravitated to the most. But then there were so many other beautiful products brought in by yourself as well. Jane Davenport and Vicky Booten and Dina Wakely and, you know, Diane. It was just everything. I just love it all. So, you know, let's not kid ourselves. I love it all.
Yeah.
So,
but I think, again, it's good to have a chat. And again, that's about the connection side
exactly.
of it, because otherwise you kind of get stuck in your own bubble and you only just see that one artist that you might follow or one manufacturing house. Whereas if you sort of see what everyone else is up to as well, it's a way of bringing all different elements into
And I think that's what's so great about Papercraft Posse, because so many amazing people come in there and share their work with all of us who are members of that group, that you can see, oh, look, there's an amazing card, there's an amazing scrapbook layout, there's an amazing art journal page. It might just be the jumping off point for you to go and have a look, you know, have a go at your own project.
Yeah. And so for those of you that haven't heard about our Papercraft Posse group, that's the From Picture to Page online Facebook group, and it is a place where you can come and share your own artwork. You can come and ask questions. If you're going, well, in the olden days where we used to travel interstate and looking for shows, it's a place where we can just share all that information. So it's mostly Victorian and Australian crafters, but of course it's slowly growing all the time. I think we've got about 750 members now.
Yes, and I think there are a few people from the US and the UK that have also joined the fun and, you know, share beautiful things with us, and you know, we're all there to help and be inspired, and I think it's amazing.
Yeah, so exactly. And it has been just, in a way, a very safe corner of the internet. It's been a place where you can share whatever you're working on and ask questions, and you know, we've always got some people that we know will always be there and show us their latest cards and just completely be inspired by the work that they're doing.
So Michelle, talking about our art and craft, whatever, art and craft journeys, do you have any highlights of your journey thus far? Because it's only really just starting, I'd say.
It is. Gosh, it's I don't know. It's all been a bit of a blur. Like I said, it's now been 6 years since we've been running the Papercraft show. So certainly doing that and getting to know the retailers and around Australia has been really good. And understanding that the craft industry is an industry in Australia and that it is a fairly small industry. So it's important how we support each other. Continue to support mostly women, not all, but mostly women in business, and having that business development side as well, because that's sort of my professional background.
Yes, it is. Yes, that's your grown-up job.
Yeah, my grown-up job is to, you know, look at how we put processes in place, how we support each other, how we make sure that we use the technology to help ourselves as well. So using our social platforms and building up email lists and using video to convey such a visual medium as well.
Exactly.
So one highlight, I guess the very first craft and hobby industry show that I went to in America. So I ended up going about 5 years in a row. And the very first year, I actually went with my family. It was held at Anaheim and it wasn't far from Disneyland.
Oh, okay.
So the running joke was that my husband and the boys got to go to Disneyland and I got to go to the happiest place on earth at the Papercraft show.
Yes, definitely.
And it was amazing. It was about, you know, for those of you that know Jeff Shed or the Melbourne Exhibition Centre, it was sort of 3 times that size. And even people there were saying that it was, you know, just a lot smaller than it used to be. And it was just so overwhelming. So that first morning, I think it was 5 days, 4.5 days. And the first day I went, okay, I've got a plan, but I'm just going to throw it out the window this morning. I'm just going to walk and see what I can find. And it was just fantastic to see a lot of the smaller retailers there, some of the things that we hadn't heard, you know, some of the brands and that we hadn't heard, a few of the different stamps, paper companies. Like I said, doing all sorts of things and just and then seeing the people in person that we see and hear about online as well. And it just was such a fantastic way also to realise that the range, because at that time, particularly with mixed media, the range in Australia wasn't great.
Oh, for sure.
And because the industry is quite small. And it was sort of one of those things saying, wow, there's so much more out there. How do we bring that to Australia?
How do we get our little hands on all of it?
I said, who's going to start bringing in all these stencils? It's like, well, maybe it should be me. So,
it should be
you know, what's stopping me? So
exactly what's stopping you,
Yeah,
Michelle. So,
exactly.
and did you, when you were at CHA, I know you said you were quite overwhelmed the first time.
Mhm.
Did you get to see everything? Did you get to, interact with the people you wanted to interact with? And
Did I see everything? Who knows?
Who knows?
By the
True,
fourth
absolutely
day, it
true.
was
Yeah.
all a bit overwhelming. I certainly did catch up
Yeah.
with a lot of people.
Oh,
I actually
awesome.
met quite a few Australians over there.
How cool is that?
So that was really good. I got to meet Dina Wakely and Julie Fanfare
fantastic. Yeah.
and just to get to see them.
Yes.
Because that's a great thing about craft. It's one thing about seeing the end product, but it's the other thing about seeing the
Yes.
techniques that people
Yes.
use as well. So, and everyone there was just so happy to share what they were doing. The Ranger booth was just amazing. It constantly had Diane and Dina and Tim and Wendy was just going through, the whole show were there demonstrating different things. And it was just really great to see.
One can only dream, to be in a Tim Holtz class or, I've been lucky enough to be in some Dina Wakely classes and some Diane Reevely classes in Melbourne. And maybe when all this settles down, in the world, they'll come and visit all of us in Australia again, which would be just incredible.
Yeah,
So,
and then sort of in behind the scenes there as well, because it is a retail, it is a business conference as well.
Yes,
so
yes.
it was an opportunity to again understand a little bit more about the American market and also understand about the professional association that brought the companies together as well.
Yes,
so it was
absolutely.
again sort of both of my hats. It was really bringing all that together.
So it would have, your other job, which is the engineering side of things, I think it would have just gone right to your heart and given you the best of both worlds, I think, Michelle.
It certainly did.
Yeah.
And so what about highlights for you, Wendy?
So as I said to you, I've been involved in the, let's say, art scrapbooking, card making industry, for about 20 years in Australia. I think a few of my highlights being on design teams at many different shops in Victoria and in one in Tassie as well, which was incredible. Being a Fiskars ambassador for quite a few years, going to different shows like, the Stitches and Crafts show or different art and craft shows. And picture to page before you had it and Shirley had it, and just demonstrating Fiskars products and sharing the love of the tools and the knowledge with all our lovely, people that came to the shows. And meeting so many people, which was just incredible. I was lucky enough also to be in a couple of different magazines, Australian publications, which was lovely. And I had some of my scrapbook pages included in a book called Scrapbooking Asian Style many years ago. So that was a massive thrill for me to see your work in print. There's nothing like it. So, and I think like my latest highlight is sitting right here next to you, being part of all this new adventure. It's been such a wonderful opportunity to reach everyone out there, especially in COVID times and everyone's in lockdown. So we hope, our greatest hope through all of this is to bring you connection and communication and creative inspiration. And that's what we want. So, I continue to create every day. And I think that's my highlight as well, that I can just go in and splash some paint around or do something and just take that little bit of time to really delve into this amazing hobby that we have.
Excellent. So we've talked about craft, we've talked about creativity, and so connection. So you've already touched a bit on that, but you're sort of, what does your crafting connection look like?
So obviously I'm part of, your group, the Papercraft Posse. I've got, a bunch of lovely girls that we have. I'm involved in a couple of different scrapbooking online groups and some card making groups and just some art inspiration groups. And then a lot of the artists have their own groups that you can follow and be part of. And yes, they obviously promote their range of products and things you can do with them. But I find that really great for connection because you can share your work and, it's a very supportive community. Everybody's there for you and, everyone. And if you have a question, like if you're not quite sure if something's working, you can pop it up and go, I'm just not sure about this color combination. What does it need? And someone will definitely give you an answer, and even Neve Bailey has an incredible group as well that we're both part of. And, the answer sometimes is just a little bit of white paint and you just go, oh yeah, there you go. So, and especially last year when we were all like physically isolated, I never felt alone because there was always someone awake, always someone there. It's always like Fraser used to say, I'm listening. There was always someone kind of listening, be there for you if you wanted to have a chat. And so many of those friendships have gone much more beyond like the art and the craft groups that they've become personal friendships and, being there to support each other, look after each other and just get through this whole situation that we're going into again as of today. But, it was just having that connection. I think it's so important to have that. And you don't, it's not like you have to live your life online or anything. You don't have to share if you don't want to, but there is connection there. The groups are there. If you need help, so much is out there. You just have to reach out.
Excellent. And I mean, and that's why Papercraft Posse was set up because we found that, like Wendy, I've many friends through crafting, and I think that it's a great way to get together and still do something while you catch up with people.
Absolutely.
And we were finding that when I met people at the show, they'd say, "Oh, look, I don't have any crafting friends," and I thought that was really sad.
Yes.
So the posse was
yes.
about connecting with
So
people,
right.
and then pre-COVID times, we'd have everyone here in
Yeah.
our Mount Waverley studio, so you could get to meet a handful of people in person.
Absolutely.
So
yeah.
when you go to the shows, now that we run 5 across the year, it's a
Yeah.
chance to then go, "Oh, I know that person."
Yeah.
And eventually, we hope to get badges for everyone so we can, connect
Oh, the
people.
Papercraft posse.
A
Oh,
posse
that would be
badge,
amazing.
so you can go, "Oh,
yeah.
you've got a posse badge too."
Yes,
Because remember
yes,
the old
yes.
days, we'd go to craft shows and we'd swap ATCs
Yeah.
or tags or whatever it might
cards
be.
or something
Yep.
like that. Yeah, and I think a lot of people still do that. There's lots of swap groups you can join online, whether it's ATCs or cards or all sorts of stuff. So if you're looking for something like that, go searching. It's all out there. Seriously, it really is all out there.
Yeah,
So,
and it might
yeah.
be a global group, it might be an Australian-based
Absolutely,
group.
it could
It's
be
always
your
best to check.
state-based group or whatever. To if you need to post thing, physically put stuff in the mail. You can always find a local, your state or Australian group, so that because overseas postage does cost a lot, and at the moment you don't know what deliveries are going and what deliveries are coming. You've got no idea, so you just got to go out there and find it. There's a group there for you.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, and it mightn't necessarily have to be an online group, but maybe that's how you find each other initially, and then turn it into a real world group as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
a way of, like we said, sharing
sure.
techniques. We used to do round robins where you'd do a bit and send it to someone.
Like a circle journal kind
Yep.
of situation. Yeah, I loved my circle journal groups that I was in, and I was in quite a few. So
yeah. I think actually my absolute favourite one I did. Now this was back when we had Yahoo groups. This was like pre-Facebook for those of us that remember.
I was in lots of Yahoo
Yep.
groups. Michelle,
And
don't worry.
It was called a tip-in swap. So what we did is we each made our own book and had to decide size.
Right.
And then each month we made the pages that we then stuck into our own book.
Wow.
But the great thing about that is because if you're doing sort of a round robin or a circle journal, then you're always dependent on if you haven't received it from the person before, you get yourself in a bit of trouble. Or if you've had a hard time and you fall behind.
And things happen. Real life happens.
Exactly.
Yep.
So the great thing about the tipping book journal was that we all kept the books, and then if someone was a little bit late in sending you their pages, it didn't matter because you could still send yours off to the next person and then slot them in when you got them. You could leave space for them.
Oh, so. I think that's a great idea. I really like that idea. So and you have control over your book, and it doesn't go anywhere. It stays with you, but the beautiful art that everybody contributes to it is there for you to enjoy. And
particularly, for those of you that do book as an art journalist, you find that more people add, the thicker and thicker it gets too.
Yeah.
So suddenly what you've sent was, a really nice flat 10-page book before you start. It ends up being a couple of inches
I think I've
thick.
got one circle journal that's like kind of like this. Sorry, where's the camera? Sort of like this big. It started off here and it's like this big now.
Yeah.
So, and I'm like,
which again is
okay.
part of the charm.
It's like it's got to stand up straight on the shelf because otherwise I've got no hope. It will never close again. So that's never going to happen. So, and that's okay. I'm good with that. So it's one of my treasures.
Yeah.
So
exactly. So are there any sort of websites that you visit frequently, or where you sort of?
I think I kind of tend to. Possibly more on Facebook more than anything else. And I think I like to visit like artist groups, like, if it's not Papercraft Posse or your mixed media, then, whether that's Diane Reevely, Dina Wakely, Heidi Swap, Vicky Booten, Seth Apter, go into their creative community, see what everybody's creating, look at all, the classes you've done. If you've taken online classes and you're in those specific groups, go and check out what everybody else created, what they ended up like, what you started off with at the start of the class and what you end up with. There's so much inspiration there. But and there's always Pinterest, but Pinterest, I've got to warn you. You think you're going to be on there for 10 minutes and 3 hours later. So
set the timer.
So just set a timer because it will there's so much inspiration out there. And I think, whether it's just books or magazines or even, it doesn't have to be craft related stuff. Like, you pick up, I was flicking through a Woman's Weekly at the checkout at the supermarket, and they're just the way the graphic of an particular advertisement, I just love the color combination. It was blues and browns and oranges, and it wasn't really autumn, but it kind of had that feel to it, and it's like your folding gave you inspiration for those three colors. So inspiration is everywhere, whether it's an ad on the side of a bus or a painting you see in the doctor's waiting room or whatever. It's just keep your eyes open. It's everywhere, absolutely
and
everywhere.
And of course, we can't forget YouTube. Because there is
my goodness,
so many videos, people with channels, all sorts of things.
Most of the artists that we follow have, like, Neve Bailey, Vicky Booten, Seth Apter, everybody has YouTube channels. So if you're looking for like a class on a technique, or you get given some new product, or you buy some new product and you're looking for how to use it, check out YouTube. Go into YouTube, type in whatever the product is, telling you there's a video there for you to help you use it. So,
again, maybe set the timer so you don't go down the YouTube channel.
Yes. Set an online timer, I think, which is a really good thing, because otherwise you'll just be there forever and a day. So just own it that you're gonna go down the rabbit hole. So you need to set a timer so you come out, because dinner might be needed to be made, children might be need to be picked up from school. Well,
Excellent. Well, Wendy, I think we've certainly covered craft.
Yep,
we've certainly
definitely.
covered creativity. We've certainly covered connecting.
Yep.
So, like we said, we're going to be here for the next 6 weeks with a fantastic range of retailers, and we're hoping to finalise that soon. And of course, for all the information, head over to our website from picture to page and beyond.com.au, where we'll have all the links to our show notes. And again, that is the place to find out all the information about the online and the in-person shows.
And I think before we sign off, or as we're heading towards sign off, what to do when there's no inspiration. You've checked YouTube, you've checked Pinterest, you've looked at everything. In my humble opinion, just grab a piece of scrapbook paper or art paper. Just grab some paint, just make circles, make little drawings, make little rainbows, do anything. You'd be amazed where one drop of paint or one scribble stick or one bit of crayon or one bit of little collage paper can lead you. Don't be scared of it. And you know what?
We didn't even mention washi tape.
Oh, let's not talk about how much washi tape you and I have, shall we? So I don't know if I want to share my organisational picture, because then I have to.
No judgment here.
No, I know, right? No judgment. And the size of our stash, anyway. Move on. And I think maybe challenge yourself. Say you haven't used your washi tape for a while. Just use washi tape to create something, whether it's a flower or something for an embellishment. Just try it, or some form of collage or whatever.
Yeah, and again, if you're looking for inspiration, we know we've got Trish from Hobby Hoppers did those fantastic
oh
washi
my gosh,
cards.
they're all on your picture to page Facebook page. They're all there. They're on the website, ready for everyone to watch again. So there's no shortage of inspiration out there. You've just kind of got to know how to look and not be scared. Just ask the question. Even come into the posse group if you're struggling. Ask a question. Someone will jump in and explain or answer or help. I'm sure of that.
Yeah, or like you said, even if, whether you're in bed or you're lounging outside, it's just a notebook with some coloured pencils or some pens, and like you said, just drawing circles, because even that just helps get your hands more steady, helps practicing your lettering.
And it's really meditative as well. If you just, start drawing circles or do some mark making like we do in our art journaling. Just to, even if it's a grey lead pencil, just a normal pencil, just do it. And it just gets started. Just get your hand working, get your brain into that creative zone. And I think, even if you do 10 minutes of that, you're just like, okay, I'm good to go kind of thing. So, which would be really, really good. So,
excellent. So, Wendy, if people want to learn more about you, where can they find you?
Yeah, so definitely I have Wendy's Way Facebook page. So please head to Wendy's Way on Facebook. All the information is there. I will link this show onto my Wendy's Way page so you can find me there. I'm on Instagram as Wendy's Way. And if you're looking for any of my art, I just started an Instagram page earlier last year called Art by Wendy. So please follow me on Instagram. Love to have you along for the journey. And I just share things I create and things I find and products that I love. So, at the moment, the latest thing that arrived just before I came to the studio was the new the new distressing colour Kitsch Flamingo. I haven't even opened the parcel, but
thank you, or else I may not have seen you today.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, you're lucky. If I had opened that, I'd be like, yeah, Michelle, what? Yeah, no, bye. See ya. No, never. I would never do that to you and our lovely watchers and listeners, Michelle. But yeah, so I'm excited for that. Yeah. So,
excellent. So, thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely.
Like we said, all of the links, guess where you can find me?
Yeah. Don't forget you.
So, on Facebook, I'm From Picture to Page and Beyond hat for everything about the show news, both online and in person. For my own art, under Creating Mixed Media Art for the retail store. On Instagram, Create Mixed Media Art, and I think I'm Mixed Media Michelle for my own art page on
Mixed
Instagram.
Media Michelle. And don't forget, if you want to know anything more about all this, please make sure you're subscribed to the newsletter. Don't forget to mention that. So please, hop in, go to the website, sign in for the newsletter so we can give you all the information about upcoming shows. Replays will be available there, plus on the YouTube channel, I think, Michelle. Yep. And I will be posting, once this episode, I can share this live. I'll be posting it all over Wendy's Way as well. So you can find it there again. If you want to watch us again, go right ahead. And I know lots of you have left comments. I'm sorry, it's really hard to read the comments while we're live. So we will go back and, read your comments. Thank you for being here. Thank you for commenting. We appreciate all your love and support. We really, really hope you'll join us on this next journey over this next, week one is down.
Week one is
5 weeks to come. And we've got really exciting things coming for you. And we look forward to bringing it to you.
And we'll let you know, hopefully early next week, who we've got on for next Friday. Yes. We've had a lot of eager retailers that are really looking forward to connecting with you and
some
sharing
guest artists as
and
well.
Some guest artists. Yep. It's been a really amazing lineup.
Absolutely.
I don't think 6 weeks is going to be enough to fit.
No, I think so. I don't know if we can fit everyone in 6 weeks, but then we'll always have season 2. So we know. And don't fear. Lockdown or no lockdown, we will be here in some way, shape or form. So don't you worry about that. And we're just very excited for this journey, Michelle. And I'm so thrilled to be presenting with you. And it's been an absolute pleasure to be here.
Excellent. Thanks, Wendy. And like Wendy said, while you're here, jump in the comments, say hi, tell us where you're watching from, any questions, any comments. We'd love to hear about how you bring craft creativity and connection into your world as well. And we will put a link here for the Papercraft Posse for those of you that want to join us. Leave a comment. Make sure you share us with our crafty friends. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. All that stuff, you know what to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And please come over to Wendy's Way and like my page and, come and join me for the inspiration that I share every day. And that will be much appreciated as well. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, I'm so pleased we got through season 1, episode 1. And I look forward to seeing you next time on Plan C.
And that's me saying bye for now too. And be kind to yourselves always.